How you doing today, Waffles?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well. I'm just ready for some awesome Spite action. So what kind of gods and picks do you think we're going to see today? Do you think that we're going to see a King Arthur or a Freya get through with these two teams?
I am expecting the Arthur to sort of get banned out every game unless they've got a plan to deal with it. I've not seen any of these teams actually play before. So it'll be interesting to see if Arthur gets through their first ban phase, if they've got a plan for it that's not an RTO. Because if you're going for a first pick and they've just let an RTO also go through, then it's going to be a bit tricky to see what else can counter it. I have seen the Kamatos played in the SPL, but again, not familiar with the players. I don't know if that will be in their god pool.
Yeah, I'm not very sure as far as that goes. I know Papaya is known for playing many gods with throughout his time. I don't know a lot about Aldrich, but this Premier League are Diamond Plus players, so you know he's going to be a pretty good player. The Camazots we did see from Variety this week, the early game was kind of nuts, and then late game it didn't really pan out. So if they're gonna let Arthur through, and they don't take the RDO, what do you have? What do you think about another god that could potentially slow Arthur down for the early game? We've seen some Achilles. Do you think we can see anything else?
Well, again, I'm not at this level of play, but in my sort of conquest games, I have been playing the Vimana because you have the quite safe clear with it. You do lose the Totem of Coup, which can be a bit of a issue for your other lanes if they're relying on that mana regeneration. But other than that, it's kind of a safe clear, and you don't really have to fight the Arthur and just let him do the business. And
Gotcha.
then once you level up, I think it's your free, which I think is called Umbrella Ring, you can start then proxy farming and using your one to escape, and then you don't have to fight the Arthur. So it's more mainly about the avoidance of the Arthur if you're not confident enough to fight him, which in all the SPL games I've seen, unless you've got like a 3-man team dedicated on constantly ganking the Arthur, he is pretty much free to farm wherever he wants to go.
Yeah, a lot of Arthur does a lot of damage. He does have more crowd control than people really think of. He has a cripple, he has a knock up, he has a stun, he has the Excalibur's Wrath, which will banish you in the sky, does a lot of true damage. Um, so if there's a god on that can step in and slow him down, potentially, we haven't really seen that so far. I personally, and this is just in casual games, I've played Bacchus into it because of the anti-heal and being able to um, avoid his. If I can predict his Excalibur's Wrath, I try to belly flop in place, and I find it to be successful, but it doesn't mean it'll be at this level. So I'm interested to see is that something that teams are toying with? Are they playing like a Sobek, like for the anti-heal as well? Um,
That is true, yeah.
that those are some things that I'm looking for. I will note that I did see Maniac play Cerberus into Arthur in the SML in week one, and it was pretty successful. Cerberus passive, as long as you're within a certain unit, he gets 30 to 40% of the enemy's healing. I can't remember the exact number. So with an Arthur that can proc Glad Shield on all his abilities, a full rotation, he'll get about 16% of his health and mana pool back. So that's huge for a Cerberus that can take about 30 to 40% of that. The Arthur's not quite as big and bad. Um, so there's just a few Guardians I think we could see. But I do like
But,
what you were going with Vamana. I think maybe that could be a possibility.
but yeah, even with some of those guardians, like you mentioned, Serb, it's mainly disrupting Arthur. You're not actually winning lane, you're just sort of keeping up with him. I've not seen like any guardian be taken into that lane and absolutely dominate Arthur. It at best you're getting a stalemate, at worst you go behind, and then it's hard to sort of transition into that late game where you're needed in team fights. But the Serval is actually a good sort of way to burn other people's speeds and allow your team to actually do stuff. So that does transition better than other majors like the Bacchus, where you're pretty much relying on trying to go for those backline targets and deleting them out of the game as quick as possible.
I got you. Just a brief pause while I'm trying to get into the room. Maybe I can try the old way.
Yeah, because with Arthur, there's gods that you would think would do well against him. For example, when he first came out, I thought Nox would be a great sort of counter win with the huge silence. And then I found out his abilities can just make him walk out of that silence and the stun, and he's off and running again. You can not really do damage. So the counter to Arthur is limited, but at this level of play, I'm sure they've got something to deal with it, or he's just going to be banned out auto.
I'm with you. I'm not sure who else I would really pick up if they're going to let the Arthur through, but we've talked a lot about Arthur. Are we ready to see Selly feed? Selly, man, you can't be feeding in these games, bro. They're life or death situations. Don't you know that in the Exilium Premier League? Nah, I just gotta mess with you, Selly. But we talked about King Arthur quite a bit and some gods that could um, be successful with him, but we might not even see him. So
That is true.
there's also the Freyas, the X-Balls, the Najas and Fenders that have been really popular. Bacchus has been popular. Do you think we can see... do we see Arthur get through? Do we see Freya get through? What do you think about this?
There's only so many gods you can ban. I think the Naja nerf they're playing on this patch, so I think that's probably gonna not mean she's an instant ban like she has been previously. So you might see her skip through that first ban phase, and then if a team wants to pick her up in those first 3 slots, she might be open, or sorry, he might be open. And then if they've picked out their support and jungle, then he'll be left open. But it might be a second ban phase. I'm also not sure how they're going to go into team comp wise. Are they looking for a particular strategy they're going for? Are they going to go all in on one character, protect that character, or are they going to try and spread out that damage around the team and hopefully try and find picks across the map and snowball from there?
I gotcha. And the first ban is Athena. I'm not surprised. That's a huge flex pick between Papaya and Seven, just from personal experience. They both have amazing Athena play. King Arthur banned right away by the Omega team. We're going to see what this next band's going to be out of Dadbod. I'm not sure if they're going to let the Freya go on this one or if they're looking for a target ban. Not sure where they're going to go. Oh, Wheelix. That's an interesting ban. It might be a throwaway ban, just so they can get the best available. Maybe the top 2 or 3 in their opinions.
It also might be a slight bait if they're trying to convince someone that they might want to run a Bacchus, because a Wheelix is a great counter to Bacchus.
Oh, the Bacchus
the
first pick?
Bacchus picked up.
That's a good counter. That's a good job to ban away to the Wheelix just for that counter engage with that ultimate. I do like the X-Ball ban. He's been arguably the top hunter for the entire season so far. I do wonder how they're going to respond in the first 2 picks. Do they want to get some gods that are great with attack speed reduction? I don't think you would have to necessarily need like a Chalk, for example, but is that something you'll consider down the road? Maybe, but for now we get one of the most meta dual lanes there is right now, more than likely. We have the Bacchus and the Kernanos pickup.
Yep, I've seen that quite a lot in the games and it's been very successful.
Do you think this Kernanos is going to go for the Runeforge rush, or do you think it's going to be a little bit later?
I would like to see the Runeforge rush, because I think it works quite well, but in this patch, the Ichiban change does make that a little bit more prevalent when you're boxing and having that increased power and reducing your other ADC's attack speed at the same time when you hit those autos. I feel that that's a slightly better take than just doing outright 15% more damage when they're CC'd, even though Stone can proc that CC constantly with his one ability.
So we're going to get the Rama and the Sobek. Is this going to be the dual lane, or do you think Sobek might be a flex pick here?
I got a feeling this is the duo lane for now, unless something in solo goes where the Sobek feels like he's more a better matchup for that solo lane, and maybe they can then pick something else into that, maybe a Geb to stop the Bacchus damage coming in.
I guess we'll find out in the secondary ban phase, or Never know. Maybe the Papaya picks up Gib. Maybe he rolls a Bacchus or the Gib in solo lane. We never know. But we will see that pick in just a moment. I'm liking so far the idea of the draft from Dadbod, but if you're gonna have a Baka and a Rama, I want to see a Fafnir selection. And maybe they don't want the Fafnir, and I get it, but it just, why wouldn't you want that in that spot? I'm just a little bit unsure at the moment, but I'm sure they've got this planned out. They know what they want to do, so maybe it's not even going to get banned. Maybe it goes to the second ban phase. Maybe this is a Sobek solo.
Yeah, like you said, they can flex that Sobek into solo, pick up the Fafnir. As much as I do like Fafnir's ability to increase the attack speed, there are items that can do that as well if you're really going around a basic attack team.
Yes, for sure. You have the most popular, as of the last few months, has been Midgardian Mill. You also have the option of Witchblade and Hide of the Indian Lion for those crit kind of carries. The Kuzubo pickup, this is a lot of CC on the side of Omega, and I'm actually not sure which Guardian is going where. And we see the Hera banned out, followed by the Agni. That's actually a curious point.
No one's really looked into mid lane and no jungles have been picked, so banning out the mages that are high damaging isn't the worst thing to do in the sort of second stage of banning when you're not sure what you're going to be jungling against what the other person's mid is. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, the Bakasura was picked up in jungle, but
that's
for
okay. Well, we don't know that. It could be a flex pick for all we know. We have seen some boxers solo before, not necessarily from these teams, but I don't think I would want to run Bacchus solo, especially against a Bacchus or Kuzumo. The Raijin and the Hera bans out of Omega, Arachne being banned out of the side of Dadbod. Also, we spoke about the Acne. So there's some long range and some damage over time being taken away, some crowd control being taken away. What kind of mages do you think we'll see?
well, Humbat's just got locked into the jungle. But really not sure what's going to work well with the team, because I don't know if you're going to really want one of those burst mages which will sit on the back line when you've got two guardians that can really gank it. I don't know if Ascilla would be picked up because she's got quite an easy escape to get away, and also because they banned out the Awilix, that escape should be free because there's nothing to pull her back into the fight.
Kakulin here being hovered over. Maybe they're thinking that it's Kakulin into Kuzubo if Kuzubo's going solo. I love the crowd control on the side of Omega. They have a bunch of circles. They have Bacchus ultimate where you get mesmerized and take a bunch of damage. You have Selly on the Kurtanos. You turn them into boars after 2 seconds. That's just another circle ability. Papaya has the Kuzubo at the moment. I don't know if he's going to have it or not, but just the watery grave, spinning him in circles, more AoE. There's a lot of AoE here. I kind of feel like this might be like a Ra or a Thoth coming up for their last selection. But speaking of, we've got Kukulkan and Kakulin on the same team.
Interesting.
So it does look like Sobek support. Who do you think the support right now will be for Omega?
For Omega, I would imagine it's probably just going to be the Bacchus jumping in into their backline. I'm a bit surprised with the Kukulkan pick, presuming his Whirlpool is best with Spear of the Magus, but it really is best if you have another magical damage dealer. So maybe that's just the Sobek going into the solo lane and building a bit more damage into it. But picking up just the Kukulkan on its own and expecting that to be your only magical output of damage, again, without the CC, so I'm expecting a gem of isolation in that Kukulkan to slow things down for the Bakasura and Rama to hit easier autos. It just seems like a very weird pick to me. And as you mentioned, the Thoth was locked in for Omega.
Yeah, for sure. MajunBuusha loves Thoth. He's very good at Thoth. What's up, Chamberlain? How you doing tonight? I love the crowd control outside of Omega, and I'm not sure I like the synergy from Dadbod. Once I saw that Rama pulled in from Ambient, I already knew like they're going to look for something with a little bit of aggression. So if we see the Sobek there, the Bakasura, we've seen him played by adapting in the SPL and a few others as well. He's been really good and really consistent. Even though he's got the nerf this patch to his ultimate, where he loses a second or so on the cold duration. He also loses half a second of the CC immunity that people you were using for beads instead of using their own purification. So what do you think the plan is for Dabbot? What do you think do you think they're looking to invade with a Concolin, or are they looking to just play it safe?
I would imagine you go for the invade with Cullen. Again, I'm not sure exactly how Nevermore actually is with Cullen, but the fact that there's very little setup for that ult, and the setup they do have is mainly a Sobek pool, which will guarantee one target be hit. Whereas Omega seems to have a lot of setups that they can just throw out those AoEs, as you say, disrupt abilities, burn beads as much as they can, and it should be free damage for the long range Foth and the Cernos with the ADC. So I imagine Dabbot will really have to go early game and try and get that snowball going to actually be effective in this game, because if it kind of goes even towards the 10 minutes and when you're fighting around the Gold Fury, I think Omega have a lot more to secure to then fight that Gold Fury and then secure those team fights later on and snowball from there.
Gotcha. So I think as far as like the Kukulkan ultimate from Nevermore and the Thoth ultimate from MajunBuusha, if there ever comes a point in time, one team could bait out the other ultimate, and that could set the other team behind for that Gold Fury, or maybe they can finally bait a fight. I want to see this Kukulkan be aggressive in solo lane. I want to see him do this. I want to see him all over those back camps for the enemy jungler. I want to see him get a huge lead over the Kuzumbo or the Bacchus. It is the Kuzumbo, I believe, with Papaya. I think this team screams aggression with some late game. You have Bakasura, Rama, and Kukulkan. Kukulkan hits very hard as a mage to mid to late game. And once you get his passive in tune with the Book of Thoth and a few items, like the Shoes of Focus, the Spear of the Magus to pair with the Whirlwind, the Strip Protections, Gem Isolation, Soul Reaver, those kind of things. Once you get this Kukulkan to mid to late game, it's going to hit really hard.
Yeah, it will hit hard, but as I'm looking at the teams, each of those gods really have escaped, so it's very hard to secure that initial whirlwind damage without a bit of CC from someone. And apart from a Kukulkan ult, you don't really have that much CC unless Bacchus goes into a slowing item, but I've not seen a Bacchus built with like a Frostbound Hammer in a very long time.
Gotcha. I'm just trying to get my game doesn't want to get out of free cam. That's hilarious. Let me try to get that real quick. There we go. So who do you favor this match, and why do you favor them?
Based on the draft phase, I'm really favoring Omega. But I think it's all going to depend on the early 3 minutes to see what Dabbot can actually pull out if they really go for those early invades.
Well, speaking of invade, we see a 5-man grouping at Omega to start this game. What is going on here? What do you think they're looking for?
Looks like they're just warding red and backing off. So grouping up as a 5 allows them for a bit of protection, so if they catch one person in the jungle, they can pick them off. But warding that red buff suggest they're going to go aggressive early and try and really invade and put pressure on the team.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's just being safe. They're not looking to invade. Actually, that kind of surprises me. I would think maybe Kukulkan could start his 3 and have a way to get out, but being safe is absolutely fine. Over here, Ambient versus Selly in the ADC role. Sobek right beside the Rama, just trading some auto attacks. Box is around the corner, not being seen. He's been spotted out now. Not a whole lot going on. Got that free stun at level 1.
Missed the pluck, but that's okay.
Interesting about that pluck stun. Usually you'll see the Sickening Strike or the Tail Whip.
Slow down, son.
I don't know how I feel about it, but maybe it's just to play around getting the Bacchus stun out of the way. There's a lot of trading going on back and forth.
I will say slightly different starts from the junglers. Baka deciding to clear the XP camp first and then going to blue, whereas Humbat's getting on the way back.
It's horrific, but
they're
there's a
both arriving
shell.
at mid.
Nope, nothing here to see.
Nope. There is a ganking mid lane, possibly.
What's going on here? Yeah, that was the shell and horrific in the duo lane. Stun. Well, that's a lot of damage on the Bakasura, but also some return damage from the whirlwind out of control.
Baka can just heal that out by eating minions. So.
Yep, he's got those two uncontested. Now that remember that speed is warded. They're going to have the time on this for the next invade potentially. I'm rather curious to why Kukulkan didn't share the red buff experience.
So big just plus Selly in duo lane.
Looking pretty low in the duo lane, aren't they? A lot of fighting, but Bakasura's over here.
So this will be a purple invade.
Yep, I wonder if they're going to bait Bacchus and Kernos into fighting this. There's no fight. They're just going to wait.
Yep,
Actually,
pluck.
does Rom have the dash? He does. Is he going to get the kill? No, doesn't look for it actually.
Stunned out.
Baka runs across that wilderness field there. Takes the damage over time. Lets the duo lane know, hey, I'm here.
I'm still around. I can come in anytime I feel like.
Yeah, let's see. Kukulkan here just waiting in middle lane. Waiting for the waves to meet up. Looks like there's going to be some solo farm in the mid lane for a little while. Bakasura not even thinking about it. Just going to those back camps.
Solo, who has like a level 4 against a level 2 Cullen? Just hit 3 now.
Is he going to die? Oh, he backflips the Selman flip. Just saves him.
A patch is better than a hole.
Yeah, and that was really close for that Kukulkan. Did you happen to see how he got that low?
They were just having a slap fight, but apparently the Kuzenbo did a bit more damage than probably they were expecting. But they are invading blue buff now, and Bakasura could be in trouble here.
Could be. He's got pushed out. Can he still get the minion? Yep, he still confirmed it with the minion. Little spam after the struck for the troubles, and Humbots looks to invade the back camps. I'm just not sure what I missed in the duo lane. Maple says, do I cheer for my squad or for my sister's team? Maple, both. That's the answer. I don't want to get anybody mad at you, buddy.
I guess you can hope for each team to take one game at least, and then you're screwed in the final set. But
yep, here comes the. They're looking for left mids, but actually, is this going to be a three-way split on the red buff? It is going to be a three-way split. I'm not actually not the entire thing, just one of the minions. This will be a two-way split for most of it. I was about to say it's not really efficient to do a three-way.
can I ask your opinion? What you feel about Baka going beads over Blink, where Humbat has got that Blink for that ult initiate?
I like the blink because you can get the Magi's Blessing third or fourth item if you need it. The purification, you really do need it for Baka if you're going to be dealing with all that crowd control. We're seeing, like we mentioned before, all those AoE abilities as Hunbots and Bakasura are trading blows. Hunbots has the ultimate available. Not sure if he wants to expend it, just walks away. Does not invade the back.
I think the mid lane is a bit too far away to try and force that out.
Is this going to be a solo kill on the Kuzabos? His first blood? It is for Aldrich. Takes down Papaya. Now he's gonna look to invade that blue buff. He's got a few seconds left on that transformation. He decides not to go there. Just watching creeps die instead. Let's go. Aldrich is still in the bait. Duo lane over here. Everybody's pretty healthy. There's a plug onto the Bacchus. Here's the Silvex ultimate. Not sure.
Good flop out.
It was. I'm not sure if I would have used the ultimate there, unless you're really just wanting the mana sustain.
But to be fair, they did get the shell out of Bacchus as well, so...
No, that's worth it. That's
slight trade.
It's a good trade. The shell's on about 140-second cooldown. Silvex ultimate 90 seconds or less, so you have that again, but...
Ooh.
Oh, Is this going to be a return kill? Oh, Sobek's 1 HP, and now they're going to look on the Rama instead. Is Ambient going to get out of here?
I think they both escaped their lives. But they will lose their purple buff to that unless
There's going to be a
that
rotation.
Baka has just taken red buff, so this might be...
There's the
Oh,
ultimate
coming
of
out,
Baka.
Baka.
There he goes, and... Okay, does he have
The
the...
dash is good.
Dash? Okay, he dashed out. I don't think Baka had the leap there. I think he already expended it on the red buff and was still on cooldown. That still could have been a free kill for him, unfortunately. But here comes the monkey, the party monkey, on the rotation. Decides to actually go back to mid lane.
I feel they did good not to follow up on the kill. There was the whole team of mid.
There's the old party monkey. It's down to 1 HP, spends the ultimate, gets out just in time. Thoth was really low before that fight.
And Humbat's managing to jump the ult and time that perfectly.
Really good job on Humbots holding onto that leap until the last second.
Oh, rotation for solo.
So Aldrich rotated over. I didn't get to see the kill myself. I saw it pop onto the screen. So there looks like he's looking for some camp experience. Maybe they're thinking about the Gold Fury this early. Do you think they're going to go there?
Well, they've got vision over there. I don't think they know they're doing it.
There is no vision.
This is going to be free.
This is a free Gold Fury going to the lane of Dadbot on the left-hand side. Ignore the team names at the very top. They're on the opposite sides. That was completely free. Nobody really knew on the other team. And if they did know, what do you think? They just think they couldn't contest it with Thoth being low?
I just don't think they were aware of it. I don't think they were expecting it to be rushed that quickly.
Maybe so when Ambient just hit 7 on the left-hand side. Interested by the start by Ambient, not having a Tier 1 Devos or any other option. He has the Tier 1 Akaival. Very interesting start. Is that going to be an Aussie second item?
Not sure. He can go into the Ichiban, which is very strong at the moment. He could also try and go out for the Odysseus bow, which applies a bit more dot damage and actually is quite a lot of damage once it builds up over time. But this does look like an attack speed build.
Did you see what I just saw?
No, I missed where you said.
Bacchus stole their red buff. Bacchus by himself stole red buff. Man, that's some nutty damage to be able to do it, but also to have to know that the timer's up and the visional. Oh, MajunBuusha and Magician get 2 kills in the middle lane. Sorry I missed that, folks. Wish I would've saw that.
Yep, it was Humbat just jumped into the mid, managed to initiate with the ultimate. I don't think anything was up to contest it. Beads were down, so they both just fell to the Humbat's ult and...
Comes the party monkey. Is he gonna get the Kakolin? Oh, Kakolin uses the CC ability. Oh, he actually kills the monkey instead!
Still a fight happening.
Uses that ultimate there. Is he gonna get the Kuzumbo too? A 2-for-1 out of Aldrich. This man is on fire. 4-0 in the solo lane. How did that go so badly for the Deathlock? Or sorry,
I'm not sure. They just picked up the double kill in mid. I think Humbat's a bit overconfident trying to gank the solo lane, but Kulkala able to heal up and really put out the damage in that fight.
Bacchus gonna get the Totem Maku this time around, it looks like. Kakolin's not even gonna contest. 3-man grouping on the left side looking for Kernanos, but there is a ward there. They know Bacchus there. He's gonna back off.
No luck there.
Just going back to the mid lane, no mid harpies up except for the right hand side. Musicians should be able to get those no problem. Looking at the builds, I'm curious to what they're doing with the Bakasura. I see the Golden Blaze. Is that going to be a stone cutting next, like we've seen, or is it going to be a hastened? We've seen a similar build style out of adapting, and then he usually goes into a Magi's cloak or something.
So they just fell. Overcommitted trying to contest the totem, and then Humbat's rotation Bakashura wasn't right there.
Unfortunate for him, but that was a lot of gold. But the new way the player bounties work now, for him to be in a 4-0 streak and just dying like that, unfortunately. Left hand side,
All way mid.
that's the Fear No Evil, and ooh, thought here's a nice ultimate. Rama to the sky. Kokokan ultimate. Oh, Humbots jumps over, but he gets hit by the whirlwind. Is Bakasura going to clean that
escaping.
up? He does! Oh, he runs into the Kernanos, though. Kernanos, okay, there's not a lot going on there. Mojo gets a kill. Papaya cleans up the Nevermore. Sobek gets killed. Mojo. Wow! A lot of things going on at one time. Looks like Kuzubo may go ahead and fall to Colin as well.
I think Baka's just about going to get out.
That was a
Wow,
lot of...
that was a lot of team fight. Nope, I don't think we're done. Mid. Nope, Kuzubo just got out.
So we see Aldrich in mid. This is the second time we've seen him rotate. This time there's no gold for you to look at. We still have about a minute to go from that. Looks like it's going to be... It's the red Zioni, correct? And the green's primal, so it looks like a super wave should be coming on. Colin's here to gank the Kernanos. He's half health already. He's just going to walk away. Bacchus is going to rotate over, make sure nothing else happens.
But they did get a T1 during that. In the mid lane.
Oh, they did? I didn't even hear it. That's unfortunate for me.
Which, I was going to say, if you look at the graphs, it kind of nullifies that gold difference. XP is still on the slight side of Omega, but gold is pretty much null and void at this stage.
Pretty much. It's only a 150 lead for the Dabot team. And let's see here. What's going on? A lot of ultimates are coming back up, and off the cooldown, they're going to set up a fight before the next gold period starts. Playing, Kernanos is very low. Kokokan ult comes through and hits him! But the kill goes to Bakasura. Musician gets a kill on Nevermore. Sobek's going to fall down here. Thoth is under a lot of trouble. He goes down to Audrieth. Hunbots is going to look for another kill. Is he going to get ambient discord? He does! A triple kill for the Musician. Just playing that guitar. Bakasura gets out of the action.
I think they just back off here and take the triple kill as a win.
Man, there's a lot of stuff going on. We have a 6-1 solo laner on the side of Dadbot. I was not really expecting that. And 5-2 on the Party Monkey, the Hun bots. Musician, just playing the songs and just letting them go. He's just shredding the songs, man.
But I will say, as much as it was impressive the Humbats got a triple kill, they did pick up 3 kills of their own. So, although all those kills going to one person does give him a bit of a lead, overall in the team fight, it's pretty even.
Bakasura in a little bit of trouble, but he's going to get out just fine. Sobek, defending the red buff, he's level 8. He's just 1 level behind 7 Soul in the Bacchus. The ADC, Selly is up by 2 levels. We in total have about a 2-level, 3-level advantage on the side of Omega. But the gold difference is slightly, very slightly, in favor of Dabbot. Let's see Humbot to the Gold Fury. He still has his ultimate. Did we see a collapse here on the Sobek and the Rama? No, this just looks like everybody's just walking around, trying to figure out what they want to do. There's a little bit of ward vision on the Gold Fury. There's 4 people on the left-hand side of the map. Kuzenbo's coming up mid lane, actually. This is going to be Gold Fury commit pretty soon. Aldrith is just in right lane, split pushing that tower down.
Yep, and Omega is going to start up the Gold Fury. It is an only Fury, which will give that minion wave, which does a lot of damage.
I saw the Sobek there and decided to leash it, but now they've got more information. There are 4 players to 2 in the red right now. But the other Gold Fury dash out of off is stunned, but Sobek reacts with the quick on the waters. Dadbot. Sorry, Omega, get that Gold Fury. So that's just a couple of things there. Just watching 2 people pressure out 4. The Hunbats with the fear. He didn't even get to use the fear no evil. Everybody just, it's like nothing happened. It just, nobody used abilities. There was no fighting. Just 2 people up there outside of the Thoth dash and the Sobek ultimate. Not really much else. And that's a free Oni Fury for the team in red.
I think it's kind of free. I think the earlier play where they started off and then unleashed it, knowing that they had ward coverage on it, or that they knew they were doing it, and then managing to zone them out, and then leaving pretty much all the damage on the Gold Fury, and just that bot didn't seem to have anything to recover with.
So still just a 700 gold lead in favor of that bot, even after that Gold Fury. Looks like a 3v1 on the Coca-Cola is happening. They're going to pick him up, and they do. Musician, 6 and 2. Plowing through all this enemy opposition. So, are we going to look at the Pyromancer here? Bacchus is there. Maybe he's just waiting. Maybe he's just warding. I'm not sure.
I think he's trying to bait it, but his team aren't exactly around if they had a full collapse, but I think he got away with that one a little bit.
Some deep wards. He saw that ward just placed on the right corner of mid laners, revealing the other one. They're not even fooling with that, though. So right onto this Pyromancer, not even contested. That was completely free. The gold lead now swings in favor of Omega. So this game is obviously, it's only a 1k gold lead. But as far as the graphs go, is there anything that stands out to you? Is there something that pops out?
Not really. It just seemed like Omega are a lot better at rotating and securing those objectives, which can cause a snowball, but that bot aren't exactly in the worst position here. They've not lost the Fire Giant fight. They've lost a few of the team fights, but they're not too far behind on kills. The graphs show there's a little bit of a difference, but it's not too much that you can't fight into.
The one thing on the graphs that stands out to me is the fact that Hunbot says 1,700 gold in hand and hasn't spent anything yet. Wondering what he's going to pick up next item. Is he going to finish off a Transcendent, I think I saw? The other thing, seeing the difference in player damage from the Hunbots to the Boxura. 6,000 difference early on. I want to see a little bit more impact out of the Boxura.
You might about to see it now, as he tries to put a bit of damage on the Bacchus.
This going to get this left-hand tower over Anthony. Yep, no problem.
He
Party
will.
Bucky's here. God, did you see the poke out of the Hunbots on the Rama right there? That was a lot of damage.
Well, that's Jotun's Transcendence nearly stacked, and I think what's going to make it worse is that's probably going to be a Hydra's for the full CDR and a lot of power.
Unfortunately for Nevermore, gets picked off. Doesn't really connect to anybody ultimate. Colonius' Thoth ult thrown off the mark just barely. Looks like Colin's facing too. He's got the Kern. That's a 7-2 Cocolin, folks. And people said Cocolin's not been good this season. What's going on with this guy? He's saying, hey, I think he's still pretty damn good. Got the rooted on the Hunbots, but Hunbots just jumps out of the way. He's still chasing them down, though, doing quite a bit of damage to him. He's chasing right into the Bacchus, though. The Bacchus get him out. There's the backflip. Hunbots is still very low. This is 3-on-1 right now, just kind of keeping them thrown down. But here's Bacchus joining this fight. That's a 4v3 now with Stowe back here and Thought. And there's a lot of team fighting going on, and a lot of... It's like... So Omega drafted this draft. The circles we've mentioned about, the big AoE abilities, they're using it to their advantage, but I'm not sure really what that bot has done to respond to it. I haven't really seen a lot out of it. They have got the mid tower in tier 1. They got the one in solo. They did was the one in duo. But I'm not sure how they are cohesively at the moment. Now, we'll say I know Omega's been around for quite a bit, so maybe the cohesion isn't a big factor for them. But what do you want to see Dabbot do here to kind of swing things back in their favor?
I think they need to get more wards out on objectives, because as you can see, Omega starting up that Gold Fury. Unless Rama's got a snipe to steal it, I think it's going to be free, and it was.
was free, while Colin is taking 3 in the solo lane. That was a 2-man goal for you, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So now the gold lead is 6,000, or sorry, 4,000 just about, in Omega's favor. Now Bakasura has actually farmed up quite a bit. He's now level 18 compared to the enemy jungler. Solo laners are even. Thoth is up 3 levels on Culkin. Haven't seen any penetration yet. There's a 2-1 magic focus, but I'm waiting for the Spear of the Magus, so I'm waiting for a little more penetration. Culkin here in mid lane with the Sobek. 3-man party on the other side with the Bacchus, Thoth, and the Hunbots just going to the jungle, getting red buff, checking the left camps. Looks like this might be a 5-man rotation to solo, though.
On the cool color, what do you think of not going penetration till what, your 4th item? As you can see in the player damage, it's reflected that he's pretty much below the rest of the team apart from Bacchus.
Culkin or Kamala?
Kokok, sorry, the mid laner.
That's the problem. So that's what I was kind of aiming for. There hasn't been any penetration, and she's already level 15. There's not really a lot of other magical damage on the team with the Sobek as it is. I would really like to see that penetration right after Chronos Minute, before Chronos Minute, rather than
They are going for a Pyro here. A little bit of a lead coming back.
They get the Pyro, and they... Omega...
But they lose.
Pick up the Colors. Man. So much fighting going on. Player damage chart, sure thing. Player damage.
I can say I really don't think that trade was worth it. Yes, they get a Pyro, they get an objective, but at the moment, they lost the player that's doing all their damage.
That is correct. So Culkin is got 1,800 damage, and of course, solo laners fighting solo laners is a thing, but he's been a part of these team fights. He's been fighting Hunbots and Kuzubo and another character at the same time.
I think if I was Omega here, I'd try and force this Fire Giant. Not necessarily looking to get it, but just trying to force them to take a fight that they really can't take at this stage of the game without their solo laner.
Maybe so. We have the grouping of Thoth and Hunbots just looking to get some wards out, looking for anybody to come and possibly invade. Let's just go back to the middle lane. So looking at the build path on the Thoth, I love it. There's the 30% cooldown. We have 2 penetration items. The Soul Reaver is putting out quite a bit of damage with that build, and I'm really a fan of it. But it looks like we're going to have a 4v3 on the right side of the map, potentially. Man, no fights really going on. Just looks like warding battles.
Yeah, if you want to go to the player damage chart and really compare those mid lanes, you can see those 2 penetration items pretty much doubling the damage of the other mid laner.
Pretty much.
Omega really pumping out the damage because of those 2 penetration items.
That's true, and they also have the Bacchus. No Void Stone, I'm wondering if he'll pick that up later. But as of now, the 2-1 falls to the right side. There's a 5-4-man ultimate out of the Hunbots. Who they're going to pick up here? Thoth gets the ultimate final judgment onto the Bakasura. It goes to Culkin's ultimate just off the mark onto the Hunbots. Culkin very low, but safe. Sobek goes to pluck and gets killed for it by Selly. The Hunbots is 7-2 at this point. Got a 4-man ultimate. What else is going to happen next? The tier 2 tower?
Yeah, it looks like tier 2 will fall. And they'll probably either back off and spend that gold or possibly look towards Fire Giant.
It does look like they're looking at Fire Giant right now. Just 4 people on that, that's all. Just 4. 3 of those being the highest, 3 of those being the highest damage in the whole game. But Culkin has 20k player damage, and he's top damage. That's all that matters, right? Easy win. Ooh,
Omega, do you get that Fire Giant? The ult was slightly off to try and steal it, and it will cost him his life.
Musician picks off Nevermore. Rama's under a lot of trouble. They're going to get picked off. Lojo picking off Aldria. 7-4 now after that last death. Humbats just picks up Ambient, puts him right down. Musician still playing those songs and playing them well.
Are they going to look for a Phoenix here, or are they going to play it safe and go back?
I think you could look for this Phoenix. You only have to deal with the Sobek. And I don't know if they know it right now, but Boxer is on the other side of the back still backing.
Yep. Oh, wow, that was a very quick Phoenix.
I guess that's what Fire Giant does, right?
Yeah, we also went past the 25 minutes mark, so it was the enhanced Fire Giant, I believe.
I do think that's correct. And middle tower is going to go down next. This Meta Void just happened to unfortunately watch that by himself. Boxer trying to come in and help defend this middle lane. Boxer's already forced to drop out. It's already dead. Phoenix is gone. Looks like they're just going to have to go to the left side and reconvene. Game is getting out of hand.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure what Dadbot is going to do at this point. They're getting picked off by Hanbot's ultimates, by Thoth ultimates off the top of that. The party monkey with the final judgment. We're not really seeing anything else that's going great for them outside of the Cullen, but once Cullen's dead, there's really not much chain fight presence.
Nope, and they've picked up an Oni Fury, so they can go back to base, spend all that gold in hand, and push up with an Oni wave for the final Phoenix, and then that's probably going to be pushed into the Titan and end the game.
Well, it's unfortunate for Dadbot there because there's already fire minions. It looks like a Cullen might get soloed by this Unbot. You hate to see it happen, folks. Musician is just killing it this game. His ultimates have been on point, and he's just there for the team fights. Full build already, about to sell that Assassin's Blessing. I'm curious to what he's going to pick up. A Deathbringer. Wow, that's going to go really great with the Hydras and that passive of the Hunbots doing the extra basic attack damage after each ability. Go on the right-hand side. Boxer there too, trying to push out those creeps. What's going to be disgusting for Dadbot to deal with? They got the Oni Fury after they already pushed down those Phoenixes. Those waves are going to be super hard to kill.
Yep. I'm just going to check solo. Yeah, I think Bakashira did clear the Oni wave in solo, but I still think they've got one in mid with fire. And they've definitely got one in the left side, which I think's just been dealt with now.
So, if you're Omega here, do you force a fight on the left Phoenix, or do you split push?
Well, I think they're going to force the fight.
Well, here it goes. We're going to see how this turns out. And there's not even a fight there. It's just complete disengage.
I was going to say, the fact that I think Dadbot had given up that Phoenix and sort of all backed into Titan, I think it was a free Phoenix.
Yeah, this has definitely got to be the end here, right? There's the pick off of the ADC. That's a big ultimate coming out of next to Falcon, though. Cullen picks up one after the fact, but it's too late. Titan's taking all the damage it can take. It is done and over. So, what do you think that Dadbot needs to do next game to overcome what just happened? Do they need to draft? Did they need to ban something different? Is there more draft synergy they can have? What do you think?
I think it is the draft synergy, because as I was saying at the beginning, when they picked out the Rammer and Bakashira, I thought maybe Cullen gets the Gem of Isolation, slows them down, allows the attack speed characters to really get in there and actually deal damage. And they didn't really have any of that. Cullen didn't really have his penetration online, didn't do too much all game.
So unfortunately for Dadbot, and once again, ignore the teammates, they were flipped, and that's my fault before the game started. 11 of the 12 kills came between Bakasura and Cullen. Cullen had 8 of those in the solo wave. And if you look at the damage charts here, Musician, 28k damage on the Han bots. Double anybody not named Kukulin on the other team, and almost actually triple almost everybody. That's is that a ban you might look to get off the table next game?
Even though they won the game, I'm not sure, because it was pumping out a lot of damage, but there wasn't exactly a team that could then follow up and the kills that he was missing, or could actually return damage back onto Omega.
So yeah, I'm interested to seeing how this is going to turn out. You see the Bacchus over there, 7 soul, 1, 1, and 11. That's a lot of assists for a support. To only die once, that's impressive. Negative scoreline on the Hunter and the solo lane Kuzubo, but only by 1 and 2. Kuzubo part of 12 of those kills out of that team. I want to see these builds again. I'm just not sold. I'm not sold on the Kukulkan build, as I mentioned. It looks like she was building an Op Shard later on. Maybe a Divine for... Oh, no, there's not really that much healing, so it would have to be a Deso or an Op Shard, and probably Op Shard would be your better option at that point. The Bakasura build, I'm not really loving the Runeforge here, but I think everything else is perfect. I would like to maybe see a Magi's Blessing there instead, or something else that could help him survive. I'm just not sure what CC his team was giving for him to do that with. There wasn't really a lot of Sobek plucks going on that were healthy. Not a lot of... Kukulkan was really fighting 1v3s and 4s all game. So I'm not a fan of that item being there last, but...
Again, that item works if the mid laner does pick up that Gem of Isolation and slows them down. But it wasn't picked up, and I don't think it was even considered as part of the build.
I'm with you, and I do see these Hunter builds are very similar, just missing the Chin Size and the Titan's Bane out of Rama. That shows you the gold difference between the two players. 4k gold advantage just about for Selly on the Kurnanos. That's unfortunate for Ambient. It's definitely interesting. I guess I do like the Kaival with the Asi on Rama. Maybe going for the full attack speed route. And let me go ahead and spectate the next match and get ready. Alright, we're good. So, chat, what are you guys thinking? What do you think that Dadbot can do better the next game, chat? What can they do? Maple, what are your thoughts in the mid lane? Do you agree with my assessment of the build path thing maybe for the Kukulkan? Should it be a little bit different? Varen,
or if that was the build path and they were going down, they needed something else on the team to set up that could cut the damage.
I think so, and I really hope that Dadbot learns from this game and moves forward. I think that maybe if it's in the picks and bans, we were talking about the draft synergy. This team makes no sense to me as any synergy. It was like, let's take Voxer first, let's get our hyper carry there, let's put Sobek and the Rama. We're going to have a late game Rama with the Bakasura, Sobek for the counter aggression and aggression, and the duo lane. Kukulkan, like I said earlier, was just a bunch of 1v2, 1v3 for the most part of the game from what I saw. I don't think that they put their crowd control together. I don't think they put really anything together. They played kind of passive, and I don't think you can do that with this composition.
And if you go back to Aldrich with his final item of the Shogun's Kasari, I don't feel that was the right item to go down, as I don't feel the Bakashura or Rama were pumping out enough damage to even warrant that item being picked up. I feel like he probably should have gone for a damage item on his own, as he was doing most of the damage, and possibly that would have allowed them to defend the Phoenix, but I do think it would have more been a delay in tactic. I think this game was lost pretty early on.
I think that experience-wise, it was gold-wise, it was pretty close for a long time, and then it finally just it fell forward from there. I remember looking at that one red buff where um, Bacchus soloed it by himself. You know, you just let the Seven Soul walk over there. There's no wards on your own buff or in the area, and um, he just gets it for free. He gets a free red buff on Bacchus, on Bacchus. Like he already does a lot of damage as a support anyway, but amplifying that with the red buff passive, that it was pretty sick. And just seeing little things like that, there were no adjustments for. They're taking this out of our jungle. How are we going to counteract that? Can I have my Sobek here with me and a Kukulkan to confirm this buff, so that it doesn't get stripped away? I think there's just a few things like that that can be corrected after the during the early and the mid portion of the game that can allow for a better later game. And also, while I'm speaking, Seven just mentioned that they're waiting on one person for the other team to start the game too. So we're just gonna wait for that. Spectator will just keep going through. Call with the Shogun's Kasari, I do like that late, but he's not really with the team that much.
I like it as part of the build, but in that case, the Bakashura and Rama both had to be doing damage, and they really weren't being that effective in the game.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right. 1 and 9 between the both. Part of 5 of the total 7 kills they did have. I like that he was looking out for his carries. Unfortunately, his carries just weren't able to do what he needed them to do. If you're Dadbot here, do you want to create a new composition, or do you want to keep parts of the composition and replace other characters with other characters?
If it was me personally, I think I'd go for a whole new team comp and try and build some synergy around it. I think if they are going to stick with the same sort of similar team comp, I think it will probably be around the Bakashura and Rama, because as they weren't really effective in game 1, I don't think Omega would ban them out in game 2. So they will probably get through the pick and ban phase, and then you have to, if they're going down that route, you have to hope they have a much better game 2.
So going back to this Omega side, the Thoth and the Huntbots combos with the Final Judgment and just the Party Monkey Ultimate, just making everybody dance in its place. If I am Omega, do I want to separate that really? Because that was I could actually possibly run back that whole composition if nothing gets banned out. If I'm that team, do I just run the same composition again to say prove that you can beat me, or do I show them different things that I can do? What would you prefer for them to do?
Again, I would probably run the same composition if they go for that Ramabaka first 2 picks or in those first couple of slots, because I don't think the Ramabaka were able to deal with that team composition, especially the Humbats, especially the CERN. They weren't able to actually close the gap and get in the damage. So if Dabbod really want to lock in that Bakashura and Rama, and I would then say Omega should lock in roughly the same characters, and then I don't imagine we'll have an exact rerun. I think there's going to have to be changes from at least Dabbod, and then maybe Omega have to adapt to that change, whatever they bring in. But again, I'm not sure, because I think the mid laner has to change, but I don't know what they're comfortable with. And then when that mid laner change, I think you then need a support to set up that damage and start confirming some of those kills.
Question for you.
Sure.
Did you know that Exilium has jerseys and hoodies in their own official store?
That I have seen the link, and they are very nice.
The nicest quality. I'm waiting for my jersey to come in. I ordered it last week as soon as the store launched. I went with the jersey that has more of the purple on the visual left hand side from if you're looking on the website, and then the top right had the purple flame. I went for that jersey. I'm so excited for that to come in. I cannot wait.
Did you go for any customization options? Because I know some people were talking about putting their player name on the back with their team name underneath it.
I just went my regular in-game name. I didn't think about going a team name or anything like that. But also, I came close to buying an Exilium flag. I might have to on my next paycheck. Actually, I'm a really big fan of this organization, and I'm so glad to see them doing so well. Other than that,
Yeah.
of course, we have the Amateur Smite League, which you're watching part of, the Smite Premier League. We also have a Smite Classic League. The difference between the two: Premier is for Diamond and above, Classic is for Platinum and below. Unfortunately, signups are closed for the next 5 weeks during the split. Afterwards, feel free to sign up. Looking for more teams, man. It's the more teams, the more fun. And we are into the picks and bans. X-Ball and Arthur first off the table. Any is that it doesn't really surprise me at all. Same first two bans as last game, I do believe. Um, I remember the Willis throwaway ban that Dadbot had the first game because they picked the Baka, and I wonder if that's something they'll do again, or if they'll look to get away and ban a Thoth or ban a Huntbots. Or is there another character you think they may ban?
I think banning the Humbats is not necessarily the worst thing. Whether they do that in the first round of picks, nope, they went for the backers instead.
Well, Omega got rid of the Bacchus, which I'm kind of surprised. I guess I didn't want to give it away. But immediate Kernanos ban and first pick Hunbots. We got to run back in the jungle, folks. That went 11-2 last game. We're gonna see if they can do that once again.
I was going to say, although I wasn't understanding the Omega choice of banning the Bacchus. If your first pick and you're going to guarantee yourself that Humbats picks, you don't want the enemy team to have that Bacchus. So I now understand it a lot more why they banned that out.
Yeah, for sure. It makes sense at first, but now, like you said, makes so much sense. You don't want the team to counter it. There's that Ardio. We didn't see her picked or banned last game at all. I was kind of surprised. Do you think they will invade with this Ardio from the support or the solo lane in the start?
Well, depending on where the Freya goes, I think they still will go for the invade. But I will be interested to know if they sort of really go for a tanky team, because I have in the SPL they have been going like maybe 3 tanks and the 2 carries, whereas it was much more traditional last game. Whether they feel that tank front line will be able to pump out more damage and secure them more kills, and hopefully turn this game into something different than the first game.
So today we saw Freya get through in the Pittsburgh Knights game and put into the hands of Deathwalker. Didn't go very well. Do we think we see this Freya in ADC or mid?
Well, Freya is a great flex pick because she can literally go everywhere but support. It's not very common to see her in the solo lane, but she can play there. She can be played in the jungle. And of course, the mid and ADC roles where she can pump out a lot of her damage. Getting rotated on by a Freya, especially if she goes into her slows early or a gem of isolation, you are stuck in lane and you are not able to run away unless you have escape abilities.
Lord Varen says ban all Sully's gods, so he has to play Thoth or Zong ADC. Problem is, if we see Thoth, it's going to Mojo, right? So it has to be the Zong. That's it would have to be Zong ADC, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me.
So this Athena was banned first game by Dadbot, and it was great, but they let it go this time. I don't know if. Well, I guess it would have to go to Sevens all this time. The Vomana's locked in. I didn't notice at first, but Vomana last time, no pick, no ban. Very interested in how that went through. But should be fine. We got the Agni on the other side. I think that's a lot better of a mage to have than the Kukulkan, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
So hopefully we can see a little more play out of that. So we have 3 magical on the side of Dadbot at the moment in time. Do we see 2 physical characters to counteract that, or do we see another magical character?
I would imagine you do have to get the 2 physicals to balance out. They could even possibly pick up another magical and then get an assassin in the jungle, because if you've got the 4 magicals, supports generally don't then tend to build the physical protections.
So the Janus ban outs on the MajunBuusha side, but the Ratatasker ban in response, because they're not convinced this Freya isn't going to be an ADC. They are convinced that Ambient's going to run that. Wonder what this next ban is going to be. Is this going to be a mid laner, maybe get rid of a Thoth?
I might get rid of the Hera, because
Hera.
Argus dumping onto an Agni. If his dash is down, he's
I didn't even think about that. Hera was banned in the second ban phase last time around. What kind of jungler are you looking for in this draft for Dadbod to counteract the Hunbats to do whatever they can do better than the previous game?
Well, Humbat is basically an ultimate machine. Even though in that last game he was doing very well just fighting outside of that ultimate, generally you want him to blink in, ult 3 members and then clean up. He finds it very difficult to actually get ganks if you've got the escapes, like the Agni's got his dash away, so that's not going to be an easy gank. Freya's got her boot, which can put him up in the air again. That gank is no longer on the table. So I think they've got the counters for the Humbats. I'm not sure what you would then run in the jungle just to sort of give him an even worse sort of time, if that makes sense.
Raijin and Raven, the last two bans. We saw the Raijin ban the last time, so they're leaving the Thoth open if they want to rerun that on the side of Omega. I'm not sure if you pick the Assassin here or if you wait. You really don't have to pick it up now because we already see the 3 characters on the team. You've got the Athena that's probably going support, the Vahman that probably is going solo in the hands of Papaya, and once again the rerun on the Hunbots. Hopefully, this audio can interrupt all 3 of them in some form of way, with the Creeple Field, with the stun, and there's a call in here. This is gotta be audio support. I gotta say though, I agree with running back the Colin because that's what was really good for them last game.
That worked, yes. And the fact that this game he hasn't really got to focus on trying to get those carries into the game, picking up the Shogun, he can actually go for a more damaging item and be slightly more effective than he was last game. And the fact that this team seems to have a lot more CC than the other team they drafted means I think they're in for a bad time. But the fact that Morrigan's being hovered over means those team fights can change, especially if you get a double Humbat assault.
Might be a little bit of trolling going on, hovering over 2 mages at this point. Vulcan and the Morrigan. Do you think we do have the Vulcan lock in and Scotty? Is it gonna be Scotty? Is it gonna be somebody else? Musician still trolling us?
I was going to say I would have really liked that Morrigan pick, because the fact you've got a double Athena ult if you need it, a double Humbat ult if you need it, the Vulcan did get locked in, but 2 Vulcan ults going on the same target if Athena's got a taunt up, that is a lot of damage coming out of a Morrigan.
But it seems like they're going for the double global pressure route with the Chernobog locked in instead, and they did lock in the Vulcan in the mid lane. Dodgy on the other side. Man, I do like the fact that she has CC immunity with her ultimate to possibly get out of the Hunbot ult. Can also possibly immune some other things that could come her way. There's a lot of setup for this Vulcan ultimate on the side of Omega. And on the other side, we have a pretty solid draft as well. I like that they have the Freya in the ADC lane. They went ahead and picked it up. I like the aggression with the Agni in the mid. Running back the Kakulin. They addressed that Dodgy that could put a lot of damage early to mid. Audio for some control. But do you think we will see an invade to the start of this game?
With the Dodgy and the RTO, maybe. Again, it's a strat we've seen in the SPL, but I've not really seen it in anything that's not the SPL, where the support goes into the speed buffs, tries to steal it, and if not, just tries to disrupt that jungle timer's really getting the jungle behind a little bit and then going back to the support lane.
I have to say that I am so much happier with this draft out of Dad Bod versus the first time. The first draft didn't really have that much synergy. We kind of beat that horse a long time, but this draft here is very solid. And I like the amount of CC that they can provide. I like the amount of follow-up that they can provide, the safety that they have to go with that.
But I will say Omega really, I feel, doing well with the counter picks. The fact that they've got a lot of that CC, they can lock down a person. But if they manage to sort of get a person out of position, you've got the Athena ult that can come in. Then you've got the Chernobog ult. And then all of a sudden, there's 3 people where you're just trying to gank on 1 person. So there is a bit of a counterplay there. Admittedly, you are expending 2 ultimates for that. But with those global ultimates, that's all they're meant to do, turn that team fight around.
I'm just excited for this game to start because I want to see Dad Bod avenge what happened last game. I want to see a 3-game set out of these people. If they can force a game 3, it means that they have adjusted from what happened in game 1, and they're not letting it happen again. And despite Carnage being a troll in chat saying, have him play Chernobog for a bad time, that global pressure on the side is going to be kind of hard to deal with.
Yeah, it's like you said, Dadbod really picking up a much better team, one with a lot more synergy. But I also think Omega might have a slightly better team. It's awkward because depending on how they use their global ultimates, it can really favor them. Like I said, so say if they really try and full commit onto the solo lane, and they can then turn that solo fight around. But the fact is, if both those ultimates are used to go across the map, it leaves an objective open on the other side of the map if the Dadbod can really communicate and then get themselves sorted, and they may lose a couple of kills to that rotation, but they might get a tower, they might get a Gold Fury out of it, they might get the Pyro. It's all sorts of swings and roundabouts.
Looks like we can finally load up into this game. I am just ready to watch this Smite action. So it is the audio support with the ambient on the Freya. We have Nevervore on the Agni in the mid. I'm interested in these Hunter build starts. We're not going any lifesteal or like a Transcendence at all. Those stacking items, just straight attack speed and steroids. Do you think that's going to be the meta from here on out?
Not sure. It depends on the hunter for those. So for the hunters we've seen in this game where they're really based around attack speed, yes, but I still feel like the ability-based hunters like Medusa, Neef, those sort of gods can still go down that old build and still find a lot of success.
So we see the same exact strategy from last game from Omega. They ward the red buff, they're grouped as 5 looking for a pick, and then they just back or they move on elsewhere. I don't expect any invades as it's already the start of the game, and it would take too long to travel. Cullen is a little far up, but he's actually just waiting to see when Avamana decides to show up.
Interesting to note, none of the junglers electing to go blink, both going for the B.
There we go. Unfortunately, I had that mixed up. 7 soul on the Athena. Is this game what? No, this is game 2. I wasn't able to change it because I was running about too much Matic on it. My bad. But it's 1-0 Omega, and they can confirm their first purple buff. Mojo Blojo, not on the Thoth this time, on the meatball man himself, the Vulcan. Looked for the combo a little early, didn't quite connect. Thought about invading that red, but I think it was called out that the Freya and the Ardio were rotating over to them.
Made the smart call, just get the mid camps, grab the XP that you can get.
Pi over here piloting this Vaughn. He's currently a little bit behind, not the level 2 yet compared to Kukulkan. Kukulkan did get the first totem of coup. Still not 2 on the Vaughn. That's okay. He finally hit 2. A little 2 makers that have been laying down have separated. Bats is still with the Vulcan. Can look to maybe share this wave. Dachi going to her back there. Red buff still not taken on the side of Omega yet, but they can safely do it at any time. Meanwhile, in the duo lane, Churn and Athena pushed under tower by the Freya and the Ardio. This is the opposite of what happened in Game 1, where we saw the Rama with the Sobek, and maybe this is a good omen for the duo lane out of Dadbot.
Yeah, with that Freya Artio pick, I think it would be something they would expect to be pushed under tower. They just need to make sure they don't give up first blood or give up too much farm to this lane that's going to outpush them.
They're taking so much poke over there, and
I think Omega's going to invade speed buff.
It looks like it. It looks like Musician changing the song, going to the opposite side of the belt, but Dodgy knows this. She knows he's there. It's a little roll 1v1. Who's going to win this fight, huh? Is it the Dodgy is the Hanbots? It's the Hanbots with the first blood. Waiting for the Dodgy to use her job before him. Good job of his Musician right there, getting the 2-2 boots. Gonna go get his own speed buff. No invade, just the fight. Vulcan getting his left-hand mids for the second or third time. Uncontested. Red buff is about to spawn for the enemy team.
Well, to be fair, on that invade, he was very low health after the fight, and this early in the game, the respawn time is not that long, so Daji pretty much would have rotated and probably chased him into lane. Also, because of that death, she probably would have had some tier of boots online. As we can see, yep, she got the tier 2 boots online, which could have helped her out with the chase.
And maybe he's not sure that the Agni's going to rotate to that fight and try to protect that red buff as well.
That's also true.
Vomit over here, looking really low over here in the solo lane. Not doing too well against the Kukulkan, but last game that Kukulkan was top player damage for a long time.
How do you feel about this Agni going into sort of penetration first rather than the Bancrofts?
It means that I guess she's not looking to be aggressive, and that's fine. If you've rushed the Bancrofts, you need to be aggressive and use it effectively. Because she's not doing that, and she just wants to Spear the Magus second item, it looks like. I think that's fine. I think you want to farm the skin part of this up and just play for the mid game.
So do you feel that first game set where they got totally dominated in mid has affected that decision?
Maybe so, but hold that thought. Combot's ultimate comes out, but MajunBuusha with the ultimate coming over. Musician. Oh, they're so very low. Are they going to pick up the Ardio? Agni looks like he's out of danger. Selly picks up the Ardio.
And there you see the global oak from the ADC turning that fight from what was a lost fight to pick up a kill in return.
So did Papaya get soloed there? I didn't catch that at all.
No, I totally missed what was happening in solo.
I did not see that solo fight at all, but I'm kind of not surprised at this point as Papaya took a lot of early damage. Maybe he just didn't back. 7 solo farm on the left-hand side of the map. And we have a 2-man grouping again in mid, looking for the right-hand mids, clearing the middle lane as well. So the Vulcan ultimate was right on top of the Party Monkey ultimate. Just making them dance in the same place, taking a lot of damage. That was a huge combination.
Again, also, I don't believe it was planned, but I do think Humbats was in his overhand smash, and once you're up there, there's not much, you're stuck there for a second while that ability goes off, so I don't think he was able to escape it from that.
The long-range shun of the Agni forces the Vulcan beams out. They're going to have to look at taking advantage of that in the next 140 seconds or so. If you want to get rid of this Vulcan, if you want to get a lead in mid lane, that's how you do it. Take care of them. The Vulcan's already stacking his Book of Thoth. Herbivores already got her cooldown boots online. Combat gets pulled in, and he is gone. Does get the ultimate off, but no follow-up to be found. Vulcan's just now getting back to that mid lane here, and let's see.
They're looking for oracles.
Looks like they're going to get them no problem. Red buff is going to get secured by Vulcan, it appears. Now, there is just like a 50 gold lead, basically dead even on the gold part of the world. Looking into the build pass, I think we're going to see either a Glad Shield or an early Void Shield out of Kakolan. I'm not sure which route he's going to go for. Also, excuse me. Also, looks like Dachi's building into, I'm assuming, Crusher, because there's not really a lot of anything else. Maybe she does want the cooldown reduction for her ultimate, and that would make sense as well. So similar build pass coming out of the jungle with similar scores as well.
Again, with Agni going into that cooldowns, his bombs are going to be up a lot more, so maybe you are looking to combo that with Daji's cooldown.
Dash shot out of the Agni. Agni's 1 HP! Are they going to be able to close it up? No! As a 3v2 still a mid. Daji's half health now, but there's no ultimate to come out of Musician. It's still on cooldown. He can't do anything after the fact. Humbats is still looking around the corner though. Taking his time, Artio gets taunted, there's an overhead smash. They're not really going to get anything out of that as Daji confirms the red buff on the left hand side of the map.
Humbat's ult is about to come back up though, so I think they're just going to back away.
So unfortunately, it looks like they're not going to be able to pick off this Vulcan before the beats come back up. It could change at any second, but doesn't appear that way. But I really like that aggressive dash shot out of Arkansas there, setting up the Vulcan and setting up the Humbox potentially as well. Fight on the right hand side. Looks like they're even levels all across the map, just a slight edge in support in favor of the Artio. Vladman's lost a good bit of tower damage. Looks like maybe some waves have gotten pushed under while he's looking for a farm elsewhere.
I will say, if that bot managed to get that Daji out and get a bit of damage, RTO did go into the upgraded sprint, so their chase potential is a lot more, especially with Omega opted into for the shell to get some damage.
And now, still just a little bit of lead. Actually, all the player levels are even. Build pathings, I'm loving this build out of Agni a lot better than the controller for first game. Looks like the Spear of the Magus is going to be online very quickly. 20% cooldown, has enough health sustained with the 2 health pots. But they're all 3 in the corner, and that's 2 or 3 of those Agni bombs. I'm not sure if I've expended all of those. You know, I think by this point last time we had a Gold Fury actually go down, and are both teams just playing it a little bit safer than the first game? We saw a lot of fighting.
And it seems like Vermana's online enough that he can start proxying pretty easily.
Looks like they're setting up to steal this red buff. We got the Athena and Vulcan. Vulcan's already got the Inverter Cannon on the ground. Artio sees both characters. Here's the Freya showing up. Freya has to use the ult to avoid the knockup, and they get Mojo's beads and his life. Get out of here for those 20 seconds. Bog ultimate expended. And here comes the Athena ult to protect, give him protections. Dodgy ultimate.
This
She's
could
in
be
the
a good
sky.
turnaround if you manage to get the chains.
Oh, unfortunate. There's a 5v3 grouping here, so they could look to get a Gold Fury off of that. And I'm not sure if they're going to commit to that idea. Looks like Colin's stationed on
Humbats is still around, and he didn't use his ultimate in that fight, so that might just give them a bit of caution not to go for it.
Still, the 3 members hanging around this left-hand side. Jumps onto the turnip box, and they're gonna pick him up, right? No, he dashes into the wall, dashes out. I'm not sure if they're gonna get him. No, they're not going to get Chernobog this time. Do you think that's still successful for that pressure to be in left lane right now?
Hold that thought for 1 second. I think the pressure's good, but they won the fight, I believe. I think they got a kill and they didn't lose anyone in return. But ideally, you do want to look for an objective off that fight that you've just won. even if you know you're not going to get the Gold Fury, at least try and force a fight around there when you know you've got the advantage on them.
I would have liked for them to go right after it, right after they took out the Vulcan that wasn't available for 25 seconds. They didn't take advantage of that, but hold on a second. Bauman forced into the ultimate. Just walks away after pressing her one and just applying damage over time. Bauman's full health, nothing to worry about for him. Back to Mojo in the mid lane, Artio on the other side with the Acne Bomb here. There's no stun that time. Left mids are up. Is that where they're going to go? Looks like that is exactly where they're going. Ramen on the right side, invading the back right camps. Looks like he's caught up. Cullen did end up...
Omega starting the Gold Fury?
Yeah, they are, and they do have Vulcan Ultimate available. Are they going to fade Ambient to using ult here? And that's Gold Fury for Omega right there, but Dodge's in the air. She's going to pull Honbats. No, Honbats does a Purification. There's Infinite Olympus out of the Athena from Seven Soul, and Seven Soul gets taken out. This returns the kill, but the Artio cleans up the party monkey. Mojo Blojo takes care of the Artio. So, what did you learn from that fight?
I think that was a win for Dadbot overall, because I think they might really push down that solo lane.
They did take down that tier 1 tower. There was not a rotation out of Audrith. Relatively quieter this game. Last game he was about 5-2 at this point, if I remember correctly. And maybe he can look to rotate a little bit more now that he has that tower down. He's not restricted to being a solo lane.
But I really like that play from Dadbot. Like, previous game, that Gold Fury, they just would have given up and not contested it. They lose the Gold Fury. They lose 2 kills, but they get 2 kills in return and the T1 in the solo lane. Whereas previous game, they would have just given it up and had nothing to really combat it.
And even though AT is 1-3-3 on this Dodgy, I like him playing on this better than the Bakasura from last game. He is being aggressive. He's jumping up on his ultimates, trying to pull people in. And as I say that, Dodgy's actually very low now. But Honbats also have health. There's the ultimate out of Cullen. Dodgy tried to pull him over the wall, but he goes right into the big baby form and has that CC immunity and cleanse.
I think Dodgy missed the chain, so overall I think that's a win also getting that Vamana ultimate.
Think so. Looks like Vulcan might rotate over to the right side, but he is actually coming back to the middle lane. Artio, Dodgy got out of that last fight. Still halfway with health, looking for some experience in middle lane. So, do you look for the Pyromancer right now, if you're either team? Is it worth it?
I would possibly look for it just to know if they've got wards on it.
Looks like.
But I think they've drawn out a sentry ward, so.
They are starting it. The Cullen's here, he knows about it. Artio's around the corner too. And are they going to reset this? They're still on it for the time being. Are they buying time for Agni?
I think that was the right play.
Oh, nice taunt. Oh, where did Aldrich go? He was just taken off the map under a CC chain and didn't even get the ultimate off. Vulcan ultimate off the mark, unfortunately, but Dodgy pulls in the Athena. Athena gets taken out by Nevermore, though, and Nevermore's taken out by the Musician. Chasing the Dodgy to the tier 2 tower, but is it worth it? No, they pick up the Artio, though, and that's 4 people in mid lane. They're going to take down the tier 2 tower. Omega. We got the 3-1 Vulcan now, and now they're going to go back to the Pyromancer with it being uncontested.
Yeah, I think that was a great play from Omega. They seen the 2 people looking at fire. They knew Agni was in mid because he just cleared the wave, and they've got mid warded, so they knew when the rotation was coming. As soon as they see the Agni rotate, they sort of drop off, manage to pick up a couple of kills, and then sort of follow that into a team engagement where they won the fight and got Pyromancer in the end for free.
It's a very big swing for Omega there. Now, all of a sudden, a 5k gold lead. That's pretty huge. They got the Gold Fury well before that. That's going to come up in another minute and a half about. Do you just look straight for the next gold, not even worry about the other team fighting them at all.
Well, next gold's spawning in about a minute, so possibly push up the lanes, especially the ones on the right side where if you're going to be fighting around Gold Fury, you want some minion pressure to go on the other side of the map, give the team something else to think about.
Now we're going to be right now. Humbot's rooted in place. There's a cripple, but there's no follow-up, so he's just going to be just fine. There's really no wards for the red team around that Gold Fury at all. They need to get some sentries up that way because they're not going to know how fast this Gold Fury, this Primal Fury, can be taken down if they have no vision.
I was going to say no team actually has it warded. They've got sort of wards around it, but I don't know if those wards are going to disappear because it's been a while since anyone's actually been over there.
Ultimate on to the Artio, takes half her health, but he was looking for the Kakao and unfortunately couldn't fight. Humbot's gets the Party Monkey ultimate off of there. A lot of ultimates expended right here from both teams. Seven Soul gets a kill. And the Humbot's is under trouble. Can he get out? Oh, they pick up the Dodgy. And Selly with that kill. 2-0-6 out of that ADC.
Would you be looking for the Gold Fury, a T2, or trying to go to Fire Giant?
I think at this point in time, just take the Primal Fury. Because if you're looking, everybody expended a lot of ultimates there. Now, Omega, they have 4 ultimates on cooldown right now. And there are 3 up for the side of Dabbod. And one of the ones you see on the screen is just a stance switch out of Artio. Primal Fury is going to allow you to do more damage to this Fire Giant so you can take it out even quicker. I think that's the right call. But it also looks like they're pushing up left lane as well, keeping the Freya in check.
But at the time of the team fight, they had all 5 members up. Only the Humbats was low health. They had pushed, I think, Agni down to about 200 health. Freya was the only one with health, so if they went straight to Fire Giant, they might have been able to sneak it. But again, I think that was a more risky play, so I do think the Gold Fury was the right call. I do
think you're right with that whole part of analysis. Maybe they wanted to play it safe, but even though they thought they could have gotten away with it pretty free, you just never know who's going to show up where in this game of Smite.
Not quite sure what this Humbats is doing sneaking behind the team, but they don't know he's there.
There's the ultimate out of him. I don't know why he's using the ultimate on Jessica Cullen. Maybe he was scared for his life. Vulcan ultimate expended. Now this is 2 very important ultimates to be using, but there's now a 4v3 as he pulls up the Vulcan and off the dodgy chains. Vulcan, is he dead here? He's gone. Cullen might be also gone as well. It might be 1v1, 1-for-1 trade. Humbot's trying to get out. Dodgy trying to chase him down. Another turn on the turtle box. 7 Soul picks up Aldrith. Didn't even see that on the map. Humbot's taken out by Nevermore. Holy crap, what an Agni bomb. Freya going down to Bombin as well. He's getting soloed. Ambient unfortunately gets soloed by the Papaya. Agni, Chernobog. Man, there's a lot of fighting. Oh, Selly goes down. That's unfortunate. This is a really good fight for Dabbot, actually. Nobody can go for this fire now.
Killing spree.
7 Soul picks up Nevermore. Never mind now. I thought that was a pretty good fight overall, but then that changed with that kill there for me. Now Athena 7 Soul can just go steal that red buff with everybody pretty much dead on the other side of the map.
Pretty much just only 2 people alive for the team. Just grab the farm where you can get it and head back to base. There's not really a big objective because the 2 members up have no chance of doing fire. I don't think any of them had wards in hand to actually put down their fire, but
now unfortunately for Papaya, he shows up at speed before it's going to spawn. Walks away. It spawns. He passes by the blue buff. Just as he passes it, it spawns. That's got to be unfortunate if you're looking to steal away farm from the other enemy team.
Yeah, just unfortunate timing. And Humbat's up down.
And Dodgy Life out of here as well. Did not catch that when I was watching the bomb and taking blue buff for some reason. Easy Pyromancer going to the way of Omega. Looks like that 9k gold lead is really starting to put things in perspective. I think that this game, I don't know if the Kakalin was able to be as aggressive as the previous game, and I'm not sure why, but it's been different. There's a blink taunt by Athena. Ardio backline Vulcan gets stunned by the Ardio. Turnabog, is he out of here? Agni's taken care of. That's 2 members dead on the side of that bomb. Aldrith returns the kill. Vermana's using the dash to get in there. MajunBuusha takes out the Kakalin. Oh, she just misses the chains to flow over the wall. So, is this a Fire Giant call, being a 4v2 right now? Is that what you would do?
4v2 with Darji ult down, it's at least a fate of the Fire Giant. If they come show up, just turn on them and then re-engage it after the fight.
She did go for the 30% cooldown, so it should be up in a few seconds, but it's not going to be up quick enough for this Fire Giant. And Ardio, is she going to be able to take it? No, Omega confirms it. Ardio now out of position, but she does get the double stun. So oh, Dodgy, what are you doing? Dodgy just jumped in, and that's just gonna seal her fate, correct? Yeah, she's out of here.
Yeah.
This Vommit's now 4-1-9 in the soul lane. Man, that's a double
I'm not
kill.
sure about this teleport in.
Man, this is a 4v1 at the moment before this Freya and Acne gets there, but oh, Papaya shut down after that 5 kill streak. Mojo picks up Aldrich. Not sure if you want to keep fighting here. I just want to take the objective and get out. Vulcan's pressing up, pressuring them away. Do you take Phoenix here or do you go to mid?
Secure the T2 in mid because you've got a huge minion wave there with the Humbats.
It is fair. You can also strip away this speed buff. That super dandy speed buff for Dodgy is unfortunately not going to be there this time around for her. Looks like they're potentially going to siege the middle Phoenix. No, they're walking over towards the left side of the map. I think the tier 2 on the left is the right call.
Yeah, so for that last fight, I don't agree with that, but just keep rushing in with the teleport, then the Agni dash into the middle of the team fight. But I do like to see them being more aggressive than they were last game. It didn't quite work out for them that time, but at least there's more potential with them being that aggressive.
Yes, definitely a better job this game as far as their aggression goes, because they just let things happen in game 1 after the mid game. And at least this time they did contest the first Gold Fury, they did contest the Pyromancer, they did contest the Fire Giant. They're at least showing up now. They're at least giving it a shot.
I was going to say, but if you then look at the graph, it seems like the goal difference in the XP here has spiraled out of control this game. Last game it was slightly even, maybe 1,000, 2,000 either way, but now it's a huge 19k experience difference and a huge 15,000 goal difference.
Side note, thanks for the sub there, Flash. I appreciate you. Man, I gotta tell you, I did not expect the graphs to be looking like this after the early to mid-game performance out of the other team.
No, it was surprising because I feel Dadbot would have done a lot better in this actual game, but the graphs tell a totally different story.
They do. I just think once the second Gold Fury was gone into the Pyromancer, or into the big fight, that they basically lost just about everybody, and then they got the free Pyromancer after that. And just from that point forward, it's been a downhill climb. 19,000 experience, oh, that's 4,000 across each player. And 15,000, that's 3,000 gold, a full item difference across each player as well.
Yep, and last game I believe that difference was only on the ADCs right at the end of the game, not across the board.
Yeah, there's a Vulcan ultimate on the mid lane. There's a Turnball coming in too, and they pick up the Freya. Selly gets a double kill to Nevermore, and they pick up this Kakalin here, that's been the best player on their team overall. This is pretty much game here. It's a 5v3. They don't pick up the Kakalin.
Yeah, this is game.
You think so?
Yeah, because they've got only waves going into the Phoenixes.
Oh my goodness, there's 2 Phoenixes down. You're right. But do you end here or do you go for left Phoenix? Looks like they're going for left Phoenix. Do you agree with that call?
I would play safe and go for the Phoenixes just in case some Rex region you get wiped, because there are quite a few low health people.
Just like that, folks. Player damage charts 18,000 on this Vulcan in 25 minutes. 17,000, almost 18,000 on the Humbots. Once again, Kakala
I'm not
is
necessarily sure about the backing away.
I'm sorry, can you recall that?
Sorry, I'm not quite sure of the backing away because Freya and Agni were still down for 15 seconds while they were by Phoenix. I'm not sure why they didn't try and end the game. I guess they're playing safe and really just going back, buying the rest of their items, finishing off their builds, and then doing one final siege. But I feel they could have ended the game right there.
They probably could have, but I guess they're just doing their homework, taking it slow, being methodical, and trying to do what they feel is the right thing, because they know they're getting a free fire giant here. They know they're getting a free pyromancy, and there's nothing that, unfortunately, that Dadbot can actually do about that. And if they can contest, but if they contest and they are not successful, and they don't get away, it's unfortunately probably game for them.
They would also try to be contest the fire giant, but they have no chance of getting vision on it beforehand. It would be a blind fight for them.
Just abominant in the Vulcan for a bit on this fire giant. The Chernobog has just shown up, and there goes the fire giant right now. Uncontested, as said before. I think split pushing left is very smart. She's got the ultimate, so does Chernobog to get whatever they need to go to. I like the fact that Musician was pushing up the right-hand wave, but he's got 4 people staring at him. Cakole's right on him. I think Kakole needs to back off here. I think he just needs to go back with the team, prevent the siege from happening, because that's all Humbots is doing. He's just making them stay away. Dodgy she's gonna pull 2. She pulls 2 in there. This Vulcan ultimate expended. Athena the defender Olympus. The Aegis popped off. Ardia goes down to Selly. Man, a lot of ultimates right there. Dodgy resets to the fountain. Colin's there. Looks like he's charging his ultimate. He does, but the Titan has already fallen. A 2-0 from the Omega squad. I gotta tell you though, I was really impressed by the way in the first 15 to 16 minutes of this game that Dabbod turned around from the first,
100%.
the first game. I loved it because they showed up to places. They didn't just surrender things. They showed up, like I said, at the first Gold Fury. They showed up at Pyromancer, and then after that, they just lost. They didn't really have established a lead, or it was mostly tied for most of the game. But it seems where the experience is, comparably between both teams, is the mid-game to late-game experience in Omega is much more than Dabbod. And I just think that if you watch both games, it just goes to show you that. Just right around the 15-20 minute mark, things start turning around, and then you start seeing better team fights out of the Omega than you do typically out of Dabbot. However, that game, the team fights were a lot better for Dabbot. And I hope they build on this and move forward into the season with that kind of strength. And if they can build on that, if they can just make their late game more improved, their mid game more improved, I think they have a chance to be a really solid team.
Yeah, I feel like they need to work on a few of the team comps. The team comp they used in this game, I feel was a lot better than the one they used in the first game where nothing seemed to sort of match. But again, this game, it's sort of, I guess they lost a few of those first fights and then it snowballed out of control and they weren't able to really fight back and actually pick up anything. But I do like the fact that they had at least a Darji trying to combo into an Agni or a Freya or an RTO just trying to cripple and disrupt people. So I think if they work on that sort of side, trying to set up more kills for their damage units to actually do rather than, as we've seen in the first game, the Kulkala pretty much having to go out on his own and try and find any damage he can, trying to return kills. If they focus on trying to set up more of their team fights, I think it might take a couple of months, but then this team will be much better, and then this game might have been totally different.
I think so. And just to look, I know we've been looking at these builds just for a minute because I haven't really been paying attention to the screen. Detail-wise, much more spread even on the damage output for Omega. The last game, there was a 30k damage in HUD bots. and then everybody else was kind of 10 to 12. This game, Kakalin was top damage both times for this team, and maybe this is the guy that can carry them forward, but I want to see this team grow and get more synergy as far as team fighting goes. And like for the third goal for you, I think it was, I mentioned nobody had wards on gold, and then you countered that saying that there were some wards around gold, but not directly on it. At the point in time, there was nothing really else to do on the map other than back camps. They could have sent 2 or 3 people together to ensure it was safe to get rid of some of those wards. But Omega, they looked really strong both games from mid-game forward. They controlled everything after the fact.
Yeah, and I think that was really the story of the game. Omega were pretty much in control of both the games.
They were after the 15-20 minute mark, and that's team experience. It just shows. And do you have any closing thoughts before we close this out?
Yeah, it was just a great win for Omega. You could see their team chemistry really working on, but it wasn't all doom and gloom for Dabble. They did show some fight back in that second game. They had a much better draft picks and bans, so you can see even between game 1 and 2, they are learning and they are improving. So, like I said, give them a few weeks to sort of gel together a bit more, and we might be able to see much better performances and even wins out of them. And I will also say I have not seen any other games, so I don't know if they've picked up wins or not in other games. It's just this game I'm purely based my opinion on.
I was wondering how long it would take for the Hindu Man Doom and Gloom to come through, just from the UK side of things. But you finally got me with it. I myself, I had a lot of fun casting these, and I hope to do more going forward. Once again, don't forget about the merchandise store. You gotta go get you a jersey. Go get a flag. Go get I don't care if it's like a mug with Exilium on it. You gotta go get one. They're available. Hopefully, those are available. Because I don't drink coffee myself, but you're damn right I would use it if I drank coffee. But once again, the Premier League, this is what this is about. This is Diamond and higher level. We also have the Classic League, the Plats and Belows. These are 5-week splits. Week 2 will be next week, and I'm looking forward to much. And that, for us, wraps it up for the week. 2-0 set by Omega. Great games to everybody. Thanks for everybody for showing up. Everybody have a great night.
All right, see you guys. Thank you.